Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 4. This week, I chose to focus on the 3 basic aspects or units that make up language and communication. The 3 basic units of language are sound, or the sound system, words, and meanings, and I will go over each of those individually. First, we have sound, or the sound system, and that is made up of 2 basic components, which is prosody and phonology. Prosody is the study of the role of intonation, pitch, and stress or emphasis patterns in language. Intonation is the rise and fall of the voice in speaking. Pitch is the musical scale and or tone that is associated with how you speak. And emphasis involving pronunciation is how a word is said. So you might have heard the joke, you place the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable, which you would really say that as you place the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. But the way in which you say a word can drastically change how we intake that and what we understand, because we might not understand what someone is saying if they said it the way I did the first time. And then phonology, and that is the analysis of the basic units of sound in language, or phonemes. Phonemes are the individual sounds that make up language and how they combine to form words. So think when you're first learning how to read, you're learning each letter and how each letter sounds. And that is phonemes, or what I went through when I was younger, we called it phonics. And it was that whole process. You start from the basic units, the letters and the sounds that they make to combine words, and then they build up to sentences and so forth. And then phonetics is how words are articulated through the mouth and the vocal cords. So it's literally how words are formed through our language structures in the body. Next, we have words, and our textbook describes it as the building blocks of language where sound and meaning come together. And 2 parts of that described in the book, one being morphology, is the study of the basic units of meaning, and then the mental lexicon or dictionary, which is remembering words. It's almost the word bank you have stored up from what you've heard and learned, but also that's the same bank of words inside your brain that you pull from when you are forming thoughts through language. So if you're learning a new word, or you hear a word that's not familiar to you, you're gonna want to understand the meaning as you're taking it in, so that you can eventually use that yourself when you are forming your thoughts. That's how our vocabulary grows. And an example of this is the 3 different theirs. So if you hear someone saying there, it might sound like someone's trying to console someone else, like there, okay. But if you look at the words that are typed out here, they're all different. But then if you really go into each one, they all even carry a different meaning. It's not just that they look different. And this is just one example of how we understand language and how each step of the way is important. It's the meaning of the word, what the word looks like, how it's formed with the lettering, and apostrophe, if that's a part of the word, like one of the theirs is, and how when we hear it, how we hear it even impacts the meaning that we put behind it, and the context, including the sentence context in which it is said, is going to help us understand which the person is talking about, even if we can't see the actual word, because language, unless it's written down, is oral, and that's how it works. Every single part of the process matters. And then we have meaning, which is made up of semantics and syntax. So semantics is the study of meaning, examines the relationship between language, ideas, and events in the environment. And then syntax is the grammatical organization of sentences. So, and part of that is also morphology, which I talked about in the last slide, but it carries over, it connects. An example of this if we're looking at words in a context of a sentence, the basic units, so the semantics of the words used, dog and walk. We understand and we have a mental image come to mind when we see both of those words, really. But when you think of a dog, most people know what that is, at least in our culture. And then walking is an activity, it is a physical movement that a person and a dog can make. And then you put that in a sentence structure where you're looking now at syntax, and you have an example sentence, I am going to take the dog for a walk. The subjects being I and dog, the action take and walk, and the relationship, both the dog and I are walking together. So you see, even just a simple sentence can be broken up into each part of meaning to help us form an understanding of going from the words that are spoken to an understanding of what's actually happening and having a mental image of someone walking their dog. And just to review, just to wrap it all up, sounds, we have prosody, which includes intonation, pitch, and emphasis. And this is how a word is said. Phonology includes phonemes and phonetics, which is how a word is formed, talking the vocal cords, like the bodily parts. And then words, which is morphology, the study of the basic units of meaning, and the mental lexicon, our storage of words in which we can draw from and form language. And then last but not least, we have meaning, which is semantics and syntax. Semantics is the meaning of words, and syntax is the use of words and structure of sentences, including morphology, which is from the words category too. Like I said earlier, they combine. So at the end of the day, all of these parts are important for us to understand both written and oral language. And without one part, you can't really have the other. And it's like the meaning of a word, we better understand it when we hear it and when we see the word structure. They all combine and build off of each other. I hope you guys had some good takeaways from this week and learned a little bit more about the 3 basic units of language. Thank you so much for listening.